Galaxias chapter 22 is officially out, and this chapter was nail-biting and absolutely insane, which is something that I say almost every chapter once this arc started. But first, let me just say sorry that this video is coming out a lot later than I initially intended. By the time I had time to actually sit down and record, I got very sick, so I couldn't really do anything beyond what I had released previously last week when I had had time to edit everything out, like for Four Nights and Fairy Tail. So unfortunately, Galaxias fell by the wayside. So I am getting this video ready to come out the week where it is on break. And at least in this way, we end up getting chapter 23 the very next week. That way we could end up having two back-to-back chapters, so it kind of works out for the most part. But I am sorry for the late review. I will try and keep things as consistent as possible for these videos going forward. But anyway, before we jump into this chapter, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you haven't already, go and check out my manga podcast, Shonen Pulse, on the Panel Focus YouTube channel, where me, Nox, and Yanogami talk about 9 different manga from 3 separate magazines on a weekly basis. It is a lot of fun, and if you're reading anything we are talking about, don't forget to jump into the comments of those videos to join the conversation. Or if you just want to just listen and see what we're talking about, to potentially find a new manga to read, go check it out. You'll end up having a nice relaxing time. Now with that out of the way, let's jump right into the chapter. Chapter 22 of Galaxias, titled Correct Choice, and this kicks off directly from the last chapter where Antares has NERAID pinned to the ground as he's holding onto her sword, keeping her from stabbing him in the throat. With Antares saying, "It seems my guess was correct. The damn king killer has made a bold move," which confuses NERAID, referring to most likely NERAID having no memories and yet finding his way to JIO, as last chapter ended with Antares confirming that NERAID does in fact have amnesia, not knowing anything about Yuri Holst or his research or whatever is going on. But Antares continues to say that it's pretty convenient. "I came here for that in the first place. Your memories would spell the kingdom's ruin. I must ensure they do not return. Perish here in ignorance." So NERAID's memories have a lot to do with the wider vastness of the world, and with whatever Yuri Holst's research was that involved NERAID, it definitely has some wider implications that definitely add to this wider conspiracy, as the kingdom's ruin with NERAID's memories coming back is something we really gotta speculate on, because there's no telling what it could mean. But NERAID manages to grab on tighter to the sword and have it shift to the side, stabbing into the ground. NERAID then ends up kicking Antares away, as in a 2-page spread, NERAID says, "I thought this was a total disaster, but you seem to be a real know-it-all. You should have said that first." Things are getting interesting, as NERAID is not only facing Antares with full confidence, this black lightning energy is coming off from him, similar from when he went into that whole demeanor when he fought Chalk in that desperate situation. So this seems to be NERAID going full throttle 100%. As Yerkes recognizes that this power is similar to what NERAID showed on the island, and Antares, smiling with glee, because remember, she is kind of enjoying this fight right now, says that NERAID's whole demeanor has shifted. So now it seems like he's not really fully going on defense. Now he's getting interested in what's going on, but realizes that he's not fully out of options, and so he's pulling out all the stops. But it's then that we cut to JIO, as she is running for her life right now, trying to find a place to hide, as she's continuously having all of her thoughts jumbled in her head, going a million miles a minute, wondering what's going on. She feels so confused just to calm down, thinking about the Zodiacs and all that, and how they're in trouble, and if they can really outrun them. And as she's about to think, and I love the panel being in bold letters, NERAID will die, JIO just snaps herself out of it, saying not to think stupid stuff like that, until she makes it to a pile of rubble that's blocking her path to the other mushrooms. And so JIO tries to climb on top to try and get to the other side. She thinks back to NERAID as he told her to run away, saying she's never seen him look like that, and that the Royal Zodiacs, if NERAID hadn't been there, that would have been the end. Even now, I'm just the one being saved. But as she continues to climb, the rock she grabs onto loses its spot, and she falls to the ground, seemingly hitting her head. This doesn't seem to be a high fall, but still she fell to the ground and hit her head, which that definitely hurts. It's then that JIO begins to cry, saying, "I can't even climb a pile of rocks on my own." But before she spirals into despair right now, she says, this isn't the time to cry, I need to find another path," pulling herself together so she can find a way out of there. But as she's going through another path, working her way around, she witnesses parts of the fight between NERAID and Antares. As we see like these black flashes symbolizing the clashes between Antares and NERAID, with Antares staring at NERAID saying, "Was all that vigor just for show?" As NERAID is winded, he is getting pushed this chapter. This fight is definitely the biggest he's had, and he's definitely struggling the most with Antares. I love how we're literally showcasing how strong NERAID is in comparison to the Royal Zodiac like Antares, who is supposed to be the top of the food chain, one of the 12 strongest characters. And I'm liking that we're showcasing some of the power dynamics right now. But man, it is such a wild thing to see so early in the story, to see NERAID really hit a wall like this. Just off of sheer strength and not technicality like what was going on with Chalk. But looking at the situation right now that NERAID is in, JIO is wondering if NERAID is actually losing. At this rate, he might end up dying, and that she has to wonder if there's something that she could do. There has to be something. As she tries to turn away, saying, "What am I even thinking? I saw that fight. What could I do by jumping in?" It's like NERAID said, I need to leave things to him and go hide. That's the right choice. That's for the best. Remembering the look on NERAID's face of confidence right now as he goes to face on and fight. But JIO in that instance just plants her foot, pivots, and turns around running towards the wall, saying that she decided when she left the island that I'd make this journey something to be proud of. I don't want to be a child who's dependent on NERAID. I want to be an equal partner. How can I just stand by now? This time, I'll save NERAID, as she jumps off the cliff to go and make the save. We then cut back to NERAID as he is pinned to the ground by Antares' tail, as she seems to have just won the fight right now, saying, "You've underestimated me." And NERAID just can't move as he's pinned down to the ground, with Antares saying, "You're not using your full might, are you? Are you worried it will affect JIO host?" Which is definitely something that NERAID is kind of confused about. As Antares says, "I don't understand why you're so fixated on her." NERAID says she's gonna go on an adventure around the world. She can't just die here. You can't move until you kill me. So cut me up all you want, I ain't gonna die. As Antares says, "I don't understand," with NERAID staring her dead in the eye saying, "Good, spend your life fretting over it." As Antares is about to deal the finishing blow to stab NERAID in the head with her sword, saying, "As you wish, I'll dice you up," she is then hit in the head right with a rock, with JIO staring her down saying, "Over here, you're fighting me." As Yerkes is confused that she's here after running away, and NERAID just has a look of just terror on his face, staring at JIO. And in that instance, as JIO is staring down on Antares, NERAID grits his teeth and manages to pull his strength up and push Antares away to get some distance. As he calls towards JIO, JIO says, "NERAID, thank goodness you're okay. See, I can be helpful." As she says, "I came to save you. This is how I can," but before she can finish that thought, NERAID has a look of just shock and just terror on his face, with JIO right in front of him saying, "Why didn't you run?" And this look on JIO's face is just of sheer shock and just, I can't even describe it right now, as a lot of emotions are hitting her right now with that look on NERAID's face. But before anything else can happen, Antares, in a flash, appears right behind JIO. JIO notices, and in shock, the sword is being drawn, and as NERAID calls out, in the final 2-page spread of the chapter, NERAID pushes JIO out of the way, and it appears that Antares just cut off NERAID's arm, with a panel off to the side, with a hollow, shocked look on JIO's face, with blood spurting out the wound from NERAID, ending the chapter. Oh boy, that was something. Now look, I was expecting NERAID to have a tough fight, but I wasn't expecting him to have such a tough time, even when those black sparks were just protruding off of him as he was getting serious, thinking that things were getting into a spot where he might actually win or get an opportunity to run or whatever. But with how this ended, with NERAID having to save JIO and seemingly cost him his arm, or for all we know it could be his tail, but I think it was his arm based on how it was drawn. He lost an arm seemingly. That is insane. Now look, for all we know, my money is that either NERAID didn't react in time, but maybe this is a whole thing is an illusion by Schmidt to literally just trick Antares to think that she killed JIO, and then NERAID jumped in the way anyway. Or the opposite is true. NERAID getting hit was an illusion by Schmidt, and he's taking this opportunity to grab JIO and have NERAID just book it out of there and mess with everybody's senses for all we know. Because it's been a couple of chapters. We have not seen Schmidt as he's been fighting Kerner this whole time. I also find it funny that Yerkes was literally just watching this entire fight go on instead of just going after JIO like Antares told him to. So I don't know how to say about that except the fact that this fight was just really awesome. But it's what Antares has been saying this whole fight, especially in this chapter, that gets me interested. Why is NERAID, staying focused on JIO right now? Obviously, he feels a connection to her as they both want to go on an adventure and discover things. But Antares says that NERAID's memories are connected to something grander that could spell doom for the kingdom, and she's glad that his memories are gone. Now, for all we know, this wound could trigger his memories, similar to how that near-death experience against Chuck triggered something that caused him to just push past his limits and, quote-unquote, evolve throughout that fight. I'm not sure about that. But I like how Antares calls NERAID out for not using out his full power. For all we know, he's doing this subconsciously, because she says, would that affect JIO Holst if he used his full power? I got no clue what that means. Maybe NERAID, I have thought about this for a while, about JIO potentially being a dragonfolk, similar to how she was a literal dragon, like kaiju, in the one-shot for Galaxias. I can make a whole other video on that, but I want to wait a little bit more, because unfortunately I don't have time to make that video now. But for all we know, NERAID is connected to JIO in some way, shape, or form, perhaps, if that's what this dialogue is implying. Or maybe with how this chapter is building up JIO's inner struggle with just running away or helping NERAID, despite the fact that she literally has no combat skills whatsoever and she is literally dragging everybody down in this instance. I would love it if the shock from this moment has JIO unlock some sort of dormant dragon abilities, because we still don't know if people are just born as dragon folks right out the womb, or if they develop their dragon powers as they get older and they develop a tail. And I would love it if JIO just unlocked her dragon powers in this instance, and it's some grand, rare power that gets them out of the situation at the very least, and just surprises Antares and Yerkes to the point where they can finally get out of there. And this would end up giving us a bit of leeway and time to decompress after an intense arc and fight right now, and give JIO potentially a chance to learn how to fight. If she does have dragonfolk powers and we figure out what her powers are, she can spend this time just working on discovering what her abilities are as she becomes a full-on combatant as well, but, slowly making her way to being useful in a fight, depending on her abilities. But that's just a theory at this point, and I don't want to say anything right now that is potentially concrete or not. But what do you guys think of this chapter? How do you feel about everything going on between JIO, NERAID, their whole connection, and the wider implications for the mysteries revolving NERAID and even perhaps JIO for all we know? How do you feel about the fight going on right now? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now with all that said and done, hope you all have an awesome day.